Hello and welcome to this
Hi.
Tuesday's Travelin Young, and we're going to talk about integration mistakes this time
Yes.
around.
I think so.
Yeah?
It was funny. We were trying to think of ideas for a video, and I had the idea to. I'll take a moment and plug a book that a friend of mine wrote. But I have a good friend, Carrie Bloomfield. She is a Kiwi who married a Dane, and she came to Denmark around the same time we did, actually. And she has since written this wonderful, fabulous book that is available. It's in English and it's been translated into Danish. But it's all about her kind of journey becoming a Dane and being a bit of a fish out of water. And I really enjoyed her stories because I think even though we kind of came for different reasons, we all share some of these funny mistakes that, happen to us when you go to a new country. Sometimes they aren't so funny, but
Some of these will be funny, some will just be realistic on things that you face when you come here.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about this week. All right, welcome back. And my first thing is not funny. It's not like,
I feel like you had more serious things.
But saying not funny makes it sound like it's depressing. It's not that either. But it relates to two things that just happened.
Yes.
I just passed my Module 3 exam, and you just passed your Module 4 exam. And so one of the things that I think is a mistake is I didn't immediately try to start learning the language.
Yes.
I talked about this in another video. Part of the reason why is I didn't know how long I'd be here, and I didn't think it was, a good way to spend what little time I potentially had, since it wouldn't be super useful after leaving Denmark. But now, I think I should have thought more openly, like, well, hey, I may be here for a while, and I might as well just try to start learning. And I think it's one of those things where you think, if I'd done this, I would be so much further along right now. And I wish I was further along right now. So one big mistake is not trying to learn the language so much sooner after arriving.
Yeah, and I'm even worse. I had all kinds of free time that I could have learned the language.
You are worse.
I did not.
You're further along than I am, though.
Yeah.
You're one module ahead of me. I'm also taking private tutoring now, and I'm definitely trying to get better.
You're getting there.
Doing what I can.
I think one of the most simple things that you can definitely mess up is just going to the grocery store. And I had to laugh so much in Carrie's book. She wrote about buying A38 milk, which in the US, we really have like whole milk and 2% and 1%, and that's kind of it. Like there's other kinds, but you go to the grocery stores here and there's so much milk. There's so many dairy products, and it's really easy if you don't know what you're looking at to buy the wrong thing. I think one time I bought like the Chessie yogurt stuff thinking that it was some kind of fancy organic milk, and it turned out to be yogurt.
Well, I guess it's fancy milk in a way.
Kind of.
Just not
it's like a drink, you guys. I was like, it's not yogurt and it's not milk either, so not sure what this is. But I think we just run into those kinds of things, where you think you know what you're doing and you're kind of smacked in the face and reminded that you don't know what you're doing. So
or you think you know what a word would mean, like fart.
I went for so long thinking that the word for nice in Danish was flink. And I very, not strongly, but I just used the word with wild abandon and thought it was correct. And then Maya one day was like, "What are you saying?" And I was like, "Flink, it means nice." She was like, "In what language? Because it's not in Danish."
Well, you went off the fart wagon for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I let you go
back to the farts. I have this plan that maybe one day I'll execute, where I want to start an Instagram account called Farts of Denmark, and I just take a picture of every fart sign I see. And so that's just workshopping ideas on things to do.
There's a lot of content there.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of farts. There's city farts, there's, road sign farts, there's farts in cars and everything. Lots of farts.
You really like that word.
Yeah. But when it's like it. But I think it goes to this idea of coming here, and when you see a word, you kind of want to connect it to something that you know.
Yeah.
Already, because some words look like an English word, even if it has nothing like fart to do with the actual English word. And so you kind of make some mistakes thinking you understand and know something that you actually do not. Not that I thought fart was fart because it's in so many places. I was pretty sure that's not what it meant. It would be weird to stick on signs, but you never know. I mean, you never know.
I don't know.
So another thing for me is I'm serious today. I'm serious.
You are kind of serious today.
I don't
You're
know.
you got a little bit of a gray cloud over you today.
No, it's another serious one is I think it's pretty common to make a mistake when you're here integrating in that you take things personally, especially around friends and people.
Yeah.
And I remember a number of times when I first moved here, so like a bunch of our really close friends that we've had over the years came from like meeting them at work, for example. So like Kira, who you've seen on videos, we worked together. A friend Randall, who came to visit us before we did the channel, we met at work. My friend Foz and Nadie were just here. We met at work. A lot of my good friends are at work, so I'm used to meeting and expanding my network of friends and people at work. And that was not the case when I came here. And initially, it was difficult to not take it personal. I remember one time we had a happy hour and I invited people over to our house. Yeah. And very few people came, but some people did, I think, just because they didn't want me to feel completely bad to have nobody come. But those are the things that were common back home. And so it's this cultural thing that you just have to, it took a bit to realize that's just a cultural thing and it's not me specifically. So I would suggest to people that move here, don't take that stuff personally if you don't connect to people or it's just not supernatural to become really good friends with people at work. It does happen, for sure. Yeah. Like my friend Peter, I work with now, and he's a good friend who drinks beer with me. But it's not common, and do not take it personally. Yeah. And that was hard because, you're here, you're trying to fit in, and you get discouraged. So one of the big things was taking that stuff personally, which I should not have done.
And I think I've heard Americans kind of, because they go out and are, I think, longing for those social norms that we have in America, and they just don't really exist here in the same ways. And so I think people would take that personally and not think about the fact that that's just a culture. It's just a cultural difference, and it's not bad or wrong. It's just it's different.
Yeah, actually connecting onto another part of that, I think another integration mistake was thinking that, not recognizing the cultural differences just because we're communicating in the same language. Because when you're talking English to someone, especially Danes who speak English super well, in some cases don't even have a massive accent, it's easy to think that they understand everything, like culturally, like pop culture stuff too. So this is a great example. Just the other day at work, we were talking about the finale of Better Call Saul and the last few episodes, and this really famous American actress, Carol Burnett, was in it.
Carol Burnett.
And I was talking to somebody at work who's Danish, who watches the show, and I'm sure I talked for like 15 minutes about Carol Burnett in a way that I assumed he knew, and he never told me he didn't understand who Carol Burnett was, because I guess to a Dane you may not know, but to us, Carol Burnett is like super famous. She actually has like one of those Lifetime Achievement Awards for like Golden Globes or Emmys named after her. And if you don't
know, she's the super famous comedian.
Yeah, from like the 80s, she was big, and she
70s even,
rarely acts anymore.
No.
And so for her to come out and be in Better Call Saul,
that's amazing.
And it was one of the cool things about the show is they'd get these like comedians to do like these like dramatic stuff, like Saul himself, Bob Odenkirk, that actor is a comedian who used to have a sketch comedy show many years ago, and he was a writer on Saturday Night Live. And so we were talking about all this, and eventually I could tell like this glass eye, and I was like, do you actually know who Carol Burnett is? And he didn't know.
No.
But it's like so easy to get into this sense of security because you're talking English to just immediately assume you get all the same jokes and all the same references of people in pop culture, and that's not the case.
No.
And that's something you need to learn as you go, that everybody doesn't have that same frame of reference, even if they're speaking the same language. Yeah. I do think people know Friends, and there's a couple things that everybody watched here in Denmark, but otherwise.
But I had to explain what a Hail Mary was
the
other day.
I have done that too.
I said
just the other day.
because I was using it in terms of like, you know, it was kind of the last thing that we tried, and I said it was a Hail Mary, and they just like blankly stared at me, and I was like, oh wait, you guys don't know. But it was a good reason to send when the University of Tennessee at Knoxville beat Georgia that one time.
Well, for people to know,
for people who don't know,
it's when you just like, it's the end of the game, football game, American football game. End of the game, quarterback's way at the other end. They just like down by a touchdown.
Yeah.
And there's like no time left, and they just throw the ball as far as they can and hope the right person will catch it and maybe score a touchdown.
Yeah. So if you want to see a classic textbook example of that, just go on YouTube and search University of Tennessee versus Georgia Hail Mary, and it'll come up.
And then don't ever look at anything from UT Knoxville ever again. Except didn't they have like a little, like a little Sebastian or something? I feel like they had like
Smokey.
Was he little Sebastian?
No, he wasn't. They got Smokey, the blue-tick coonhound.
Yeah, okay. I wanted like a little winning horse. See, Brisket does too. Do you hear him? Yep. So I'm less serious. What do you've got? You have anything else that's not serious?
I mean, I think, you know, it's just interesting that when you do things, again, it's just kind of going back to doing things that you think are correct. And I remember one time I had to go to the emergency room because I was having this horrible pain in my back. And in America, you just go. Like, you just show up. And I remember getting to the emergency room and the lady at the desk just blankly staring at me and being like, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm having a back problem. She was like, did you call before you came? And I was like, no, why would I do that? And she was like, you have to call 1-813, so we'll try to get you in. So I think sometimes we just like learn things the hard way.
Well, I think America probably sees you as like a cash register walking in.
They're like, yes, please
we don't turn away money at this hospital. Please come right in, ma'am. Would you like to sit down and have a $100 cup of tea, perhaps?
Yeah,
Is that
and
something
then
that might interest you?
It was super weird afterwards, like leaving and not having to pay anything. Like I kept checking my e-box to see if something was going to come through from the hospital that I'd have to pay. There was like, it was this weird like nervousness that I couldn't shake that we were going to get some bill, and then it never came. So
man, I wish I could remember some funny things. We've been here long enough though. It's hard. I mean, well, this is super Denmark, I guess. I mean, some of these things would apply almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Just moving to a different place, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
very Denmark is. I moved here in was April, which is right in the middle of all those holidays. And I remember I didn't have a car. You guys weren't here yet. And it was the end of April, beginning of May. I didn't have a car. You guys weren't here yet. And I'm like, oh man, I got like a 3-day weekend. I'm going to go to IKEA. I'm going to get some more stuff for the house because our shipment of stuff didn't come. And I didn't get any food. And I hadn't just moved here, so I didn't have like a fridge full of like random stuff that I can like concoct some kind of like meal from, a peanut butter and jelly or something. And everything was closed. And I had no way to get anywhere. And I'm like, I can't even get to a grocery store. Like, this idea is, I mean.
And that happened with Easter too when we came. Like, everything was
full
closed.
on respect it now. Yeah. But initially, I'm used to everything
being open.
Or always being able to go to like a Walmart or a Target or something at any point in the day. And this was like the complete opposite of that, where I couldn't get anything. And I'm like, this is the most, I had like nothing. I had like a TV on the wall. I brought my record player and some records. I had my guitar, and that was it. And
you know what I remember from that time period is when you called me and you were like, I don't know how to lock the door.
Oh, this was a good mistake. I've never seen these. I was so.
He was like, I don't know what to do.
So
I can't lock the door.
I came here, and my work, because I had to like take possession of the rental property before moving here, and my work did all that for me. And then I came to work the first day, and they had the key. They gotten the key for me. So I like one night. I was staying in a hotel for a couple days because I didn't want to go like the very first day. And so one night I just like came to the house with the key. It was like at nighttime, and I was like, I'm gonna go see the house. I just want to see it. So I walk in, I'm walking around, I'm like, cool, yeah, but there's nothing there. I spent like 15 minutes maybe, and then I go to leave, and I could not get it to lock. I'm like, this thing will not lock. And I'm serious. And there were two doors.
Yeah.
And then I went downstairs. Then I messed up that door because I'm like, maybe there's something. And then the one downstairs somehow magically. So if you're not aware, just for you to know, what I'm talking about specifically is you have to like flip it up.
Yeah, you flip it up to lock it.
To lock it, and that basically engages these like things in the door that hooks into the frame to make it super secure.
We don't have those.
And then you lock it. And I didn't. And one time I magically did that without knowing I did it because I'm like, why did it lock this one time and all the other times it didn't lock? It was super frustrating. And then I actually like luckily because I was contemplating leaving with it unlocked because I'm like, nothing's even in the house. But it's not my house. I was about to do that. I called you and I'm like live streaming.
Like,
I'm like, what do you know how to lock this door? This is weird.
He's like, I don't know.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then like the people across the street, they just happen to come home from work. And I'm like, dude, I know we've never met. First of all, I'm Josh. I'm American. And can you explain to me this door thing? And he like was like, oh yeah, the door. He like knew immediately what was up.
Oh, no.
And like now it's that was a total mistake and a fail. But now whenever our door here doesn't have that, but whenever we had people visit that house from America, like, you tell me how you think you lock this door, and everybody's like, oh, what? No, what? It doesn't. Yeah, it's serious, like a magic door. And we've seen them in other places like Airbnb sometimes. But yeah, the door. There you go. You found something funny. The door handle mistake.
Well, and then
debacle.
I think the other one that started our hatred of parking in Denmark was the time that we went to see a movie, and we didn't know that there was like 4-hour parking up on the top of the garage.
No, that didn't happen when we went to a movie. The first time I got a parking thing was when we just went to like Netto.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. And so I think we learned our lesson was that you went in for like what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, we learned that you needed to buy an automatic P-SKU. And then we learned you're bringing up all the bad stuff.
No,
I was just getting better with the handles. And now you're bringing up parking stuff.
I was going to get mad again.
It's the hair lube place, which is like the epicenter of that time it was I didn't know. I'm like, I'm just going to the grocery store. Why would I have to do anything other than park and go? I'm going to spend money. And then the next time, and I couldn't read the signs that say Husk.
Yeah.
Now I know what I know what that means now. But then the other time was we bought a thing and the battery ran out.
Oh,
and we didn't know the battery was out. And so then we got another ticket at that place.
No.
Then there's the one I did the video about, which was a whole nother. But I haven't gotten a ticket since the video.
No, we've been very careful.
And we don't even have an automatic thing on. We have to do it manually.
Very careful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we're just going on and on and on. So that was some interesting things about integration.
Yes.
And we thought it would be fun to share, and we hope that you guys are doing well.
Yes.
And we passed our Danish exams.
We did.
So how about this? Let's link down below to the very first video we did talking Danish like 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
if you've never seen it, we're just like, "Hi, hello, Joshua." And I remember like memorizing all that to say it on the screen.
And then you quickly scurried off.
No, that was a different time. I mean, the first time we were sitting at the table back there, you and I, and we acted like we were having a conversation with each other. So that video is below. Watch it. But we're gonna stop at that. We'll see you guys later. Bye.